For round 13, as the cars are finally making their way out onto the circuit, led around by what else but a Honda Civic Type R safety car. And so the pack makes its way through around this 1.3 mile circuit. Now, usually at this point, I will give some kind of a history lesson, and today's no exception. I realise there's a lot of Scottish locals here, so if I get anything wrong, bear in mind. So actually, we'll do that in a second, because we've got the grid coming up in a minute's time. So we're going to come back around the circuit and probably do a formation lap. So let's quickly go through. What should I do? Get it together, Scott, come on. All right, here's the grid. We'll go through the grid. So we've got, I was expecting a grid graphic, we've got it now. So Bob Barron then will start his home race from pole position. Can he convert it to a first win? We'll have to wait and see. He was 2/10 quicker than Will Self, the champion leader in Class A on the front row alongside him. He could potentially make this one another strong victory. His 7th win of the season could be awaiting him if he can make it happen. Row 2, Tommy Knight, fresh off his first victory at Brands Hatch. He will start 3rd in the EK Civic alongside James Kiff, who will start alongside him. Another podium could be in the offing if he can make a good start. And with lots of downforce here and quick in testing yesterday, he could be a dark horse to get a good result. 3rd row, an excellent effort from Dave Buki puts him 5th on the grid in the EK Civic with Philip Wright alongside him, the 2023 champion. And then our final 2 Class A cars, Michael Barron, our single round entry, brother of Bob, in the Civic Coupe. Fraser McNeil recovered after his off in qualifying. He will start at the back of the Class A group in 8th. Then back to row 5, we find our Class B contenders, where unstoppable Dan Thackeray is once again on pole position. He's alongside Dan McDonald in his first race for a year in his career, but has raced here before and scored a 4th place a couple of years ago in Civic Cup. He'll start from the front row. Then Sam Linstner and Lewis Barker come next on the 2nd row for Class B, alongside Harry Greenhill, welcome back to the championship after being absent for a few rounds. And Luke Crassus menu on the 3rd row, followed by Owen Diver and Duncan Holloway, recovered after his little sideways roll at Brands Hatch last time out. Then we have our 2 Class C contenders, Matt Rowling on pole alongside Callum Houchin, and right at the back of the grid, having not set a proper time, is going to be Spencer Fortag, although I don't see the number 4 FN2 Civic at the back of the grid, sadly. So it looks like whatever issue Spencer's had, it will not get him out into the field. So we'll have an 18-strong field here across all 3 classes, set to go very shortly for round 13 of Racing Hondas 2025. So I think they are going to get a formation lap in a second. There's a rule, of course, that's come in place that team members, cars can have 1 team member per car to set a bit of a marker on the grid so they're not overstepping their marks and getting false start penalties. That came off the back of Alton Park, where there was a couple of cars that were getting 10-second penalties for being out of position. So they've listened to the drivers and said, look, you can have a representative on the grid, you can make a marker on the pit wall to let you know where to stop on the grid so that you're not overstretching it, and that certainly works out much better. So his grid has been cleared by the last couple of the drivers. They'll then set them off on their formation lap for 1.3 miles of the Knockhill circuit as the 1 minute and 30 second boards go up. It's usually the fastest 1 minute and 30 seconds in the world when they do that. Unless they're going to wait actually 30 seconds this time. I'm watching with bated breath. I'm not timing it in my head, honest. And maybe they are waiting 30 seconds. Well, I never. Anyway, as we get set for racing action, tension continuing to build as the drivers now left alone with their thoughts to gather themselves together. That short run down towards turn 1 and the huge drop of Duffer's Dip is pretty incredible. And it's where cars are going to be side by side, particularly Will Suffolk gets a good start from the outside of the front row of the grid. They're in 1-by-1 staggered formations, they usually are, which means that if Barron can get a good start and pull across and cover off Will self-start, it could be all the more interesting. Just waiting for the next board to come up. And once it does, 1 minute board goes up this time. I think we had a 2 minute board first of all, so waiting to get things going. And I think the phrase we use here is it's all calm and quiet until the VTEC kicks in. It's always quite calm and quiet. 32nd board goes up. A lot of tension on the grid here. Bob Barron will be feeling this could be the possibility. He could be on the cusp in 15 minutes' time of the biggest win of his quite fledgling career, because you have to remember, he only started racing this season. He was, I'm not sure he took his rookie plates off yet, but Bob Barron even led his 2nd ever race. He was on reverse grid pole for the 2nd race at Cabwell Park, as the green flag flies on the circuit, and was up there in the lead and was leading about halfway through until he then lost the back end and lost the lead and also the first few positions, so he's going to try and see if he can hold on. So, history lesson with Scott, shall we? If I get this wrong, the locals will shoot me, so I'll go through this based on what the internet's told me. So, Knockhill then, built in 1972 by farmer and racing fan Tom Kinnaird, using farmland roads and a disused railway. The 1.3-mile circuit opened, first of all, in 1974 with lots of dramatic elevation changes, and it was briefly leased, proposing major expansion changes, and then early upgrades, mainly got some fencing and some resurfacing. It was then taken over by racer-turned businessman Derek Butcher. He invested about £100,000 to modernise it. Lots of more ongoing improvements. They resurfaced it quite regularly, they widened the corners, upgraded the runoff areas, and the big moment for Knockhill was when the British Touring Car Championship came here in the wet for its first ever visit in 1992. Hasn't left Knockhill since, and of course we've had the likes of British GT, British Formula 3, and also even British Superbikes that come here as a regular outing as well. That's also a popular event. They have proper rally days here, they've got a fantastic racing school, all sorts goes on here at Knockhill, and it is Scotland's premier motorsport event as well. And of course we have been here before with Time Attack 11 years ago for Racing Honda's very first visit, and I will say one thing: they love this circuit. They're raving about it so much. They're saying this is a fantastic circuit, it's relentless, it's a proper roller coaster, as Charlie said rightfully at the beginning of the VTs before qualifying. It's a circuit where you cannot let up. But having had the passenger lap yesterday, it is literally the first part of the course. It's one corner after the other. You have no chance to think about it. You straight through into Duffers Dip, then Leslie's, then McIntyre's, Butcher's, through the chicane. You get a small bit of respite up towards Jim Clark Curve, and you go up through the crest over there, power your way through Hislops, down to Taylor's Hairpin. You go through the big step at the apex, all the way through, pull the car around, and climb back up the hill towards the start and finish line for the end of another lap. So the field makes its way then onto the grid. Brave standing marshal in the middle of the grid there, watching the cars go past him. Kudos to the marshals. Again, big thank you to them, to our marshals, officials, volunteers, everyone here at Knockhill has made us very welcome to get this underway. And I'm certain they're going to be rewarded here with 15 minutes of absolutely thriller-minute racing from the Racing Hondas, as they have done all season. It's crazy to think we've now got 4 races left to go. We're about to get one of them underway, but it has been a mega season all the way through. Is this round 13 going to be just as spectacular as the other 12? I'm so excited, I can't even speak. So, as you mentioned, it's all calm and quiet until the VTEC kicks in. It's about to be in a few moments' time. Green flag at the back. Stand by for action. Round 13 of Racing Hondas 2025. Are we going to get a home victory? Can it be win number 7 for Will Self, or will somebody else take the top step? Waiting for the red lights. Revs rise, and we're underway at Knockhill. Strong start from Bob Barron from pole. It's a good start also from the front row from Will Self down towards turn 1, but I think Bob Barron will have track position. He shoots across and he has the whole shot into Duffers Dip for the first time. Tommy Knight has third. It's side by side for fourth as Dave Buki goes up the inside of James Kiff to take the position. Their words will lead to the James Kiff is off again on the first lap. He's off possibly into the barriers. That's for the second race running. He's off on the first lap. He got further than turn 1 this time, goes back into the road and almost gets collected by Luke Crassus Bailey. That was quite a rejoin, but he gets in front and just about gets away unscathed. Over through the chicane for the first time, hopping over the curves one after the other. Kiff survives. He's now got a rather askew front bumper, but now the lead is out through Jim Clark Curve for the first time. It's Barron who leads. It's Self in second place, who's right on his tail. Tommy Knight in third place. There's a gap to fourth with Dave Buki under pressure for Philip Wright, but it's Fraser up to 6th ahead of Michael Barron, who's passed him at the start. In the lead of Class B, it is who else but Dan Thackeray. Linzer is second place. Barker is third. Dan McDowell from the front row in the class is down to 4th. As there goes right round the outside of Buki's take 4th position. End of lap 1. And already, Will Self is right on the tail of Bob Barron. He wants the victory number 7. Bob Barron just wants win number 1. To do it at home will be extra special. End of lap 1 then. Barron who leads the way by only 0.3 of a second. It's then Self in second, Knight in third, Wright in 4th, Buki in 5th, then McNeil and Barron. That's Class A, apart from Kiff is further back in 14th overall. Oh, and Will Self again, massive sideways moment over the chicane. That's the risk with this circuit. You push it too hard and the cars will get sideways. He has been drifting around this circuit quite a lot in a front-wheel drive car. You think it was rear-wheel drive with how much he's been getting sideways. They rock over the curbs at Jim Clark S's. That's the key with this circuit, the ability to ride the curbs, and having a car that can do that is absolutely crucial if you want to get the maximum out of a lap time. Now, what's interesting here on this end of the second lap, Tommy Knight is closing into the top 2. He's not that far away. He might lack a tiny bit on the straights, but in the corners and under brakes, that EK Civic is looking pretty strong as they come over the crest. 2 laps in the books. Tommy Knight sets the fastest lap of the race. He's done a 55.786, faster than the 55.8s for Barron and Self. Is it win number 2 potentially? Do I jinx that with 13 minutes to go? It's way too early, Scott. Don't start jinxing it now. 3 for the lead then, out of McIntyre's, through Butcher's, riding over the curbs. If anyone knows how to ride the curbs and not kill, it's Bob Barron. Tommy Knight chasing after him. Phil Wright's got a gap to 4th place. Then it's Buki, then Barron, and Fraser McNeil hopping over the curves. Thackeray leads Class B, then Linster in 2nd place. Barker McDonald. And then it's James Kiff on his toes, Harry Greenhill on himself. And then it's Luke Crassus-Menu. Wide over the curb was Michael Barron. But they charge back down towards the hairpin once again. This is at the end of lap 3. And it is 3 for the lead. Tommy said with new rear suspension, he's got this car properly sorted now where he wants it. And he's given the 2 EK Civics a run for his money here. There goes Phil Wright trying to chase after them. And it's Buki, Barron, and Fraser McNeil. Up the inside of Dan McDonald goes James Kiff on his recovery. He's lost... No, he hasn't lost the end plate. I thought he had it. It was just a white end plate. I thought he'd lost one of his end plates after he made contact with the barrier. But he has managed to keep it, and he's now up to 11th place over the line. 8th in class still. So Buki's having quite a run so far in P5. Leaders rock over those curbs. A massive sideways moment again. The way they just sit down on their suspension is so fascinating to watch. And through the right-hander at Jim Clark curve they go again. Use all that curb on the exit. Start to spread out a little bit here. Top 3 getting to be a little bit more spread eagle. Last time Bo was the fastest lap of the race taken back by Bob Barron, 55.4. He was 4 tenths quicker than Self and 3 tenths quicker than Tommy. So he's got quite a bit of pace advantage here. That new suspension he's been putting on there, which he missed at Alton, wasn't at Brands of course, but now fitted it and sorted it out for Knockhill since, is absolutely working wonders. And of course he won here a couple of weeks ago in the wet, in the mod sports. So if we can mimic that, that would be quite an occasion. And I know for certain, because we know the Kilty K-Swaps team, they will go berserk if it happens. If it happens. There's 11 minutes to go. Don't jinx it yet. There's the other 2 contingent in the Kilty K-Swap squad. Michael Barron currently 7th. 6th, in fact. Won't score points, so Fraser McNeil will get the points for 6th in a minute. There goes Tommy Knight in 3rd place, keeping pushing on. Out to Jim Clark curve. Massive thump of the curve for Will Self. He's pushing as hard as he dares. He said earlier on when he was talking to Charlie, the fact he's saying he's not quite confident, he's not quite sure, and then as it was happening, he popped up at the top of the times, and I thought, you're chatting rubbish. But he's pushing on anyway. Oh, massive 2-1 moments. Look at that, in unison. That was Dan Thackeray, then Sam Linster, and then James Kiff for good measure. All of them up on 2 wheels through Jim Clark curve. Brilliant stuff to watch. And I said we're going to get plenty of that this weekend. This is that kind of circuit where if you get up on the curbs, it will happen. Up the inside to get a place for position on track at least is James Kiff. It's not for class position, but he has now got himself into 9th, has James. He'll have the pace advantage. Next target is to try and depose Dan Thackeray. And you might get him on the straight down towards Duffus Dip. He's closing in. Thought about going up the inside, but I think he realised, I know what happened on lap bump 1. I'm not going to risk it this time. Rides the curb at Duffus Dip, through the compression at Leslie's. And back in through McIntyre's again. Dan Thackeray. He might be wise just to let James Kiff go here, because the harder he tries to fight him, the more difficult it might be, and also the more advantage that James Sam Linster might take. James Kiff is taking risks, though. He managed to thump the tyre stack there for a second, just flicked the belt that holds the tyres together. Up through Jim Clark curve. And still James will push him. Certainly he'll make a dive up the inside here to make that move into the hairpin. In fact, there he goes on the straight. Doesn't even have to get to the hairpin. Through Hislops, up the inside. Dan's trying to go with him though under brakes. Not quite sure why, and he's just having some fun, but that's not the car he's fighting. The car he's fighting is right behind him on his tail. Sam Linster for 2nd place. Of course, this is a key moment for Sam, of course, because it means he can get himself a really strong 2nd place, which he can add to his total. Which, given where his results he's had so far, if you watch our top 3 ride over the curbs, and Self doesn't look as confident as Bob Barron does, which unsurprisingly is because of all the local knowledge, I'm certain. Looking at where Sam has done, he has taken a 2nd place before. That was back at race 2 at Snetterton, so he can get his 2nd runner-up spot if he stays where he is. Could even get a 1st win if he starts to chase after him. There's still 8 3/4 minutes to go. Still nothing certain just yet. I've noticed, and also watching other battles, that we've got Dave Buki and Michael Barron quite close. Now here's our Class C battle. It's Callum Houchin ahead of Matt Rowling. So on pure pace at the moment, looking pretty close, but I think we're about to get a one-on-one here between these two. So the 2 Class C runners, nose to tail. It's now a 25-point swing in Matt Rowling's favour, but Houchin is given as good as he gets. This is the true test as well. FN2 versus EP3. Which one around Knockhill has got the pace? Is it the older chassis, or is it the newer one with a slightly more user-friendly experience in the FN2? We'll wait and see. I don't know how user-friendly it was when he was taking me round, but Callum was certainly pushing it. Down the back straight through Hislops. And just setting him up here. And Houchin, see, look, goes to the inside line. He's not comfortable going on the racing line because he knows that if there's an opportunity, Matt will come. He's down the outside in towards Taylor's hairpin. Just puts himself on his wheel. And he might try and drag race him up the line, but I'm not sure he's close enough. He gets back into the slipstream. Charging up the hill once again. Closing in. He's going to make a dive. He's thinking about it. Darts to the inside line. Puts himself in his mirrors, just distracts Callum. I'm still here, haven't disappeared. What opportunity is Matt going to try and present himself here? Has a little peek again up towards McIntyre's. Again, Houchin very defensive. He's looking for that up and under, the undercut through the right-hander into Butchers. Back through the black tyre chicane, black circle chicane, I should mention. Rocking over those curves again. Now the sprint towards Jim Clark curve. Still Houchin holding on. They're giving as good as they get. Matt might have a tiny bit more pace, but Houchin's defending. That was a huge thump of the curve, though. That might just give Ryan the run he needs. And the leaders are coming up behind them. So this is going to be the Class A leader, Bob Barron, who's got 1.8 seconds over Will Self. Dare we start to dream? Now they're up towards the hairpin again. The Class C battle continues on. But Bob is coming up behind them. And he might have to break this up for a second because this is going to be quite crucial. If he can get around them here quite cleanly, this could be key. They're both moving out of the way, so they're actually continuing their battle whilst also letting the leader through. Not bad, boys. Bob gets through nice and cleanly. That was the cleanest double overtake lap I've ever seen, at least in terms of lapping two cars at once. So Houchin now continuing ahead of Rowling, but Bob Barron using all that local knowledge, pulling away here at Knockhill. As Rowling right on Houchin's tail out of McIntyre. And look, Will Self's getting caught up. This is not where he wants to catch them here at the chicane. And through no fault, he's getting held up here to try and go to the inside line. This has broken up the battle a little bit because Rowling had to back off a tiny bit, but two was on the grass. Tommy Knight follows him through. And Tommy's right there because if Will Self can't get past him quick enough, you might put him under pressure for second place. Darts out to put a lap on Houchin, but Tommy Knight is right on his tail here. This is a rematch from Knockhill at race 2. Remember that? It ended with a lap and a half to go because of a red flag. And Tommy now is all over the back of Will Self. He just lifts the inside wheel. He's pushing him at the final hairpin. He's right under the rear wing of Will Self now with just under 5.5 minutes to go. Tommy Knight is challenging for second place now. Might be positioned lower on the podium, but doesn't make the battle any more significant, any less significant. Down to Duffer's Dip. We know that Will Self's car is a little more looser, bouncing over that curb again. Tommy's just getting a little bit closer. He feels a lot more comfortable in that case of it. That thump of the curb didn't help, though. He's lost him a car length in that process. Oh, and again, just watching Will Self's car just sliding around all the time. I know he likes it fast and loose, but the car looking very, very back and forth as it's trying to ride over the curves. They both thump the inside of Jim Clark curve. And Will's pulling a tiny gap again, so he's now getting to that advantage now of roughly a couple of car lengths out in front. And all of that lappery, Bob is now 3.6 seconds in front. Less than 5 minutes to go, and they won't have any fingernails left on the pit wall at Kilty K-Swaps. They're going to be praying to the racing gods that he holds on to this for the next 4.5 minutes. Down towards Duffer's Dip. Barron still leads. The gap is down to 3.5 though. Last time by, what was the last lap? It was a 50. What was the last lap? It was a 56.1, 55.9 for Will Self. He got it down. And Tommy Knight set the fastest first sector of the race. Personal best for Self, and they're both 3/10 quicker. So they're starting to close back in here on Bob. But it's Bob just trying to get this thing home and not lose too much time. Out of Jim Clark curve again. Back with the rest of the classes. I'll quickly check in with those. Dan Thackeray still leads the way now by, how far is he ahead of Sam Lintzner? He is now 1.6 seconds ahead. And Dan McDonald, who is our guest driver this weekend for Ben Sharp Racing Company, in third. And Houchin still ahead of Rowling. The last time I came across the line, it was just under half a second between the two of them. So Houchin, if he stays where he is, could be looking at his 4th win of the season. And his 2nd in a row as well. So the FN2 might have the advantage here. 3.5 minutes to go. Meanwhile, in 4th place, all on his own, is Phil Wright, 2023 champion. And looking back, that's Dave Buki putting a lap on the 2 Class C contenders. And Buki's got a small gap now to Michael Barron in 6th, who's run away from his Kilty K-Swaps teammate Fraser McNeil. He's about 3 seconds back in the background, although that looks like more than 3 seconds. There goes Barron up the inside, not going to help Matt Rowling. Excuse me, Michael, you might be lapping me. Can you not interrupt my battle, please? In fact, actually, Michael's letting him back through. So what's happened there? But Michael's got a problem. So whatever happened there, Michael has an issue. And off the road goes Michael Barron. So unfortunately, only 2 Kilty K-Swaps cars will make the flag. James Kiff went through. That's a free pass for him. Kiff is now up to 6th position. So not a bad recovery. But whatever happened to Michael Barron, not quite sure. Now, Bob Barron's got more lappery to do here. He goes down the outside of Crash Suspending and Duncan Holloway. That's an incredible double lappery. Down the outside of Duffer's Dip. That is astonishing. Bob Barron, don't do things like that when you're leading with 2.5 minutes to go. Don't give us heart palpitations. So Will Self needs to run wide again. So now the gap is 2.4 seconds. It's coming down again, and Will Self smells blood in the water. He senses an opportunity. But can he get past these two cars quick enough? These two are also battling for position. This is for 14th and 15th overall, and also for class position as well. Self moves out. He's got the pace advantage. Powers his way past Duncan Holloway. Next is Crassus Menu. But when you're leading a race, Bob Barron, I think that's how much he wants it. Just diving down the outside through caution to the win. Lap two cars at once. Outside of Duffer's Dip. You don't usually do that unless you really want it. And I think Bob Barron wants it. I think we're going to get 2 more laps now. 2 more laps for this one. The gap is 3.2 seconds. It's gone back out again. They're getting the encouragement from the pit wall. Keep going. Keep pushing. Tommy Knight still going after it. Still wants second place. Still riding those curves, chasing after Will Self. Phil Wright holding on to 4th place. He's back in no man's land. He's some 7 seconds back. And a further 7 seconds back is Dave Buki in P5. So 4th and 5th, touch wood, appear to be settled. Second place, out for debate. We won't talk about the league because otherwise that might be the commentator's curse. But through Jim Clark curve for the right-hander. Self has got a small couple of car lengths now on Tommy Knight. Down the back straight towards the hairpin. More blue flags. That's going to be, I think, for... Is that Dan Thacker that put a lap on? It might well have been, actually. Or was it? No, Dan McDonald that was a lap on, actually. So he's dropped backwards into 4th place. If there was a white flag, if it was American Motorsport, it'd go out now. So 1.3 miles is left to see if the homeboy can take a victory. But he's going to try and do it here whilst having to pull away from battle for second place. It's now 3.1 seconds to the good between Bob Barron and Will Self. And if they come through the right-hander, down through Duffer's Dip, down through the left-hander at Leslie's, in towards McIntyre's. This is a circuit that, of course, Bob knows all too well. The Kilty K-Swaps guys. He came into the championship as a complete rookie. He got his novice cross. He led his second ever race. He almost won it. Got his first podium at Snetterton. As they come through the final couple of the corners, he's out of Jim Clark curve. He's got one more corner to go to make this sealed. Will Self is holding on for second place, and Tommy Knight's going to be third. But down towards the hairpin for the final time. I might be speechless for a second here because this is going to be another first-time winner in Racing Hondas. Up to the head for the final time. He came close a couple of times before. A first podium at Snetterton, but now at home, his first victory in Racing Hondas will go here at Knockhill. Round 13 of Racing Hondas will go at least, I think, to Bob Barron almost. Done it again, haven't I? Called it a lap. No, that's going on the blooper reel. Right, one more lap then, shall we say. I'm an idiot. So Bob Barron's got one more lap to do it now. So I'll hype myself up again in a minute. I'm not going to live that one down, am I? Back through the chicane now for the now last time on the back of, that was Greenhill, Harry Greenhill. In towards the right-hander, the gap is 2.9 seconds, and this time I think he should be about home and dry out of it. Self is still pushing in the background. He's going to try and hold on to it, but they're going to be on the pit wall to celebrate. And I think if you're a Scottish motorsport fan, get ready to celebrate, because when you're locals, it's about to do the job. Up towards the hairpin for the final time. Now let's try this again, shall we? Out the final hairpin. His first podium came at Snetterton. He's now going to go 2 steps better at home at Knockhill, because round 13, for the first time in his career, is going to go to Racing Hondas, to Bob Barron at the checkered flag. Bob Barron claims his first victory in Racing Hondas, and the pit wall will go absolutely berserk at Kilty K-Swaps. Incredible stuff. Will Self second place, 2 seconds back, and then Tommy Knight gets third place for his first podium. But that is going to be a special victory for Kilty K-Swaps at home, and it's something they promised. They had that new suspension package, and it all works out in the end. Incredible stuff. If you're around the circuit, give the local man a round of applause and a cheer, because he absolutely deserves it. It's fantastic stuff. Phil Wright gets 4th position. Dave Buki is P5. James Kiffey's P6. And Fraser McNeil, Pete Car7 in P7. He comes across the line as the second of the 2 Kilty K-Swaps that will finish. No finish for Michael Barron. Then Thackeray picks up P8, and he also wins once again in Class B. That's another one to put him one step closer to the Class B championship. 8th place will go to Sam Lintzner in the end. And Harry Greenhill gets himself on the Class B podium, in fact. So, given the fact that Dan McDonald pulled away, it's P6 for him instead. So Dan McDonald actually dropped away in that sense. But it was Lewis Barker 4th in Class B, Duncan Holloway 5th, and Lee Crash's Meadow in P6. And then it's Dan McDonald in P7. I can't even speak, I'm getting it wrong here. Then Callum Houchin also did hold on for the victory as well in Class C after race-long pressure from Matt Rowley. So after 17 laps of round 13 of Racing Hondas 2025, The victory, which I think has been coming since the start of the season, has finally happened, and what a place to do it at home. Bob Barron is a race winner in Racing Hondas 2025 for the first time in his career. Not bad for a boy starting his racing career right at the start of the season back in May. He wins by 2 seconds from championship leader in Class A, Will Self, Tommy Knight in 3rd place, Phil Wright in 4th, and Dave Buki completes the top 5, with James Kiffin 6th. Good recovery after his first lap off to get P6 in class. Fraser McNeil 7th, then Dan Thackeray, who wins Class B once again, with Sam Linsner, Harry Greenhill, Lewis Barker, Duncan Holloway, Luke Crassus-Melu, and Dan McDonald, who started on the front row in Class B, has to settle for 14th place. And Callum Houchin gets his 4th victory of the season in Class C, fending off Matt Rowling by just 0.2 per second at the flag. That's also his first 2 wins on the bounce for Callum as well in the FN2. And Michael Barron retired with some kind of a mystery issue, exiting McIntyre's. And then it was Owen Diver, who was also the other retirement that we had further back as well. And we didn't even see Spencer Fortank start the race as well.